Hello, good evening, all you people out there in Facebook land. So, sitting at home in the evening, only so many Netflix you can watch. Thought I would endeavour to put myself out there, just to say hello. Hope everyone's well, and a bit of peace and quiet time. So, back in the day, for those of you who don't know, there used to be a TV program called Jackanory, which basically children, believe it or not, used to sit in front of television for probably an hour and a half after school every day, way before iPads and what have you. There would be Play School be on first, then a 5 minute cartoon, then this program called Jackanory, where basically you would have a famous actor or actress at the time would come along in five installments from Monday to Friday and read a book. And it could be any book, but basically you would get to see five installments from Monday to Friday, where they would sit down for 15 minutes and basically just tell a story, old-fashioned storytelling. I used to be engrossed with this. I would sit there, a little fat Irish sort of Catholic kid, with my glass of milk, my chocolate biscuits, and just being wrapped. And that's where I found a love of storytelling. So that's why I thought, why not? We'll basically kick off with a little classic. So rolling two things into one, I love a Jackanory instead of storytelling, and this. These are Ladybird books, which were very popular back in the day. We've got Cinderella, Dick Whittington, Beauty and the Beast, Elves and the Shoemaker. We can go on and on for as many weeks as this all takes, even down to like Oliver Cromwell and Downy Ducking. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to start off tonight with Cinderella. Oh, there we go. Camera angle's right. Cinderella. But first, we need a little introduction. A little bit creepy, this, but this is actually the theme tune, as was from Jackanory, and hopefully you can hear that all okay. Here we go.
This is CBeebies on YouTube. Find even more fun and games for your child.
Not CBeebies, but here we go.
CBeebies website.
Jackanory.
So,
the story I'm going to tell you.
High tech. Hello. The story I'm going to tell you is the story of Cinderella, a classic retold by Vera Southgate for the Ladybird easy reading book, Well-Loved Tales. These are very hard to come by. So it's by Vera Southgate, retold with illustrations by Eric Winter. Okay, so let's begin. Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Cinderella. Her mother was dead. They're straight to the point in these books. And she lived with her father and two elder sisters. Cinderella's elder sister were beautiful and fair of face, but because they were bad-tempered and unkind, their faces grew to look ugly. They were jealous of Cinderella because she was a lovely child, and so they were often unkind to her. The ugly sisters made Cinderella do all the work in the house. She carried coal for the fire, cooked the meals, washed the dishes, scrubbed and mended the clothes, swept the floor, and dusted the furniture. She worked from morning till night without stopping. So let's just have a look here. Look. Now here is poor little Cinderella, okay? Look. Just one ratty old grey dress, one frock. Oh, there we go. Candlelit, a bucket, a brush. Things are looking grim, right? You think you've got it bad at the moment. Look at this poor cow. So there she is. So we'll see what happens. Turning over the page. Cinderella not only did all the housework, but she also helped her sisters to dress. She cleaned their shoes, brushed their hair, tied their ribbons, and fastened their buckles. Ask your parents about buckles, they'll explain. The elder sisters had many fine clothes, but they were so bad-tempered that they still looked ugly. Cinderella had no fine clothes. All she had was an old grey dress and a pair of wooden shoes. I'll just repeat that, right? An old grey dress and a pair of wooden shoes, clumpy old clogs. What is that all about? Wooden shoes. So in the evening, when she had worked until she was weary, Cinderella had no bed to go to. She had to sleep by the hearth. She slept by the fire in the cinders, and that was why her sisters called her Cinderella. And that was why she always looked dusty and dirty. So let's have a look. Here she is now, look, by the fire. See the little patch. Look, she's got one strategically placed patch on the dress there, by the fire. And look, clumpy old wooden clogs. Poor. I mean, really, wooden shoes? Would you? Okay, moving on. Now, it happened that the king arranged a great feast for his son. The feast was to last 3 days, and on each evening there was to be a grand ball. All the beautiful young girls in the country were invited in order that the prince might choose himself a bride. Cinderella's sisters were invited to the feast, and they were so excited that they could talk of nothing else. But Cinderella was not invited, as she was only seen in rags. So working in the kitchen, everyone thought that she was her sister's maid. On the evening of the first ball, Cinderella had to help her sisters to put on their new dresses and arrange their hair. Now, here we go. Now, I must admit, she's not looking too bad, right? Like, compared to her situation, her hair's looking quite good. She's got like a nice sort of like fresh cheeks going on. And there's the sisters, look, like one of them vertical stripes over there. Good idea, going to a ball. Want to look nice and slim. And then, not too bad with the ruffles here, but there's the two sisters, all right? Moving on. I'll just turn the page. Cinderella thought of how she'd like to have a ball gown and go to the ball and see the prince, and tears began to run down her face. "What are you crying for?" asked the ugly sisters crossly, in unison and at the same time. "I would like to wear a beautiful dress and go to the ball," replied Cinderella. "You go to the ball?" laughed the sisters. "A fine sight you would be at the ball." And they pointed to her ragged dress, and they pointed to her wooden shoes. These wooden shoes are like an ongoing thing, and it does say, "and wooden shoes." I'm not making this up, neither living. When her sisters left for the ball, poor Cinderella sat down and cried as if her heart would break. And here you can see sisters like leaving for the ball. Look at her. Look, she's just heartbroken, right? She's absolutely heartbroken. Sitting there, hair still looking fierce, little Kleenex thing going on there, but absolutely heartbroken. Candle still going, Lumiere's going strong there. Not sure about the sort of marigold poinsettia thing here, but yeah, there she is, looking upset. What's she going to do? Turn the page. Suddenly, Cinderella heard a kind voice saying, "What is the matter, my dear?" She jumped up from her stool and turned to see who it could be, and there stood her fairy godmother, smiling kindly at her. Fairy godmother. Now, weird, not explained previously in the plot, not talked about. Random woman appears, pointy hat, like slightly Welsh sort of traditional national dress there. No one really thinks anything of it. Random. But there stood her fairy godmother, smiling kindly at her. "I would like to have a beautiful dress and be able to go to the ball." Not asking much. Said Cinderella, "I've never been to a ball, and I've never had a ball gown," she went on, "and I would love to see the prince." So not just like one thing, but like 3 in a row. Count your blessings. "And so you shall, my dear," said her fairy godmother. Now here we see one more time, just so you can see, fairy godmother, Cinderella, legs akimbo there. She's ready for action. What's going to go on? What's going to happen? "And so you shall, my dear," said her fairy godmother. "Dry your eyes and then do exactly as I tell you. And tomorrow evening, at the same time, 7:15, we shall find out what happened and how Cinderella prepared and went to the ball. Good night. God bless." Action. What's going to go on? What's going to happen? "And so you shall, my dear," said her fairy godmother. "Dry your eyes and then do exactly as I tell you. And tomorrow evening, at the same time, 7:15, we shall find out what happened in how Cinderella prepared and went to the ball. Good night. God bless. Action. What's going to go on? What's going to happen? And so you shall, my dear, said the fairy godmother. Dry your eyes and then do exactly as I tell you. And tomorrow evening, at the same time, 7:15, we shall find out what happened and how Cinderella prepared